Hello, everybody. Okay, so my first live stream on this channel, and I want to welcome everybody. I had some trouble. The stream was supposed to start about 4 minutes ago. Unfortunately, I'm still new to the whole streaming thing, and so you know, I didn't have the chance to, do this. So, yeah, so I really want to welcome everybody to my live stream. And if you want to know what I'm doing right now, I am um, actually on Facebook to let people know that I'm live now. So, yeah, so hopefully, you know, so. Okay, all right. So this is a series of live streams called From the Agora, and it is a series of videos that I'm doing for the next couple of weeks, twice a week, and then I will go back. I will start doing them once a week, and they will always be on a Monday because Monday is when I have it off, and I'll be able to do that. So live chat is up as far as I know. It says live chat's there. And it just says here, welcome to live chat. Remember to guard your privacy and abide by our community guidelines. So, yeah, so if you guys want to post something, you can. So anyways, so one of the things that I, um, that I'm kind of like concerned about, and it's kind of like it's kind of like this weird polluted um, thing that seems to um, be around a lot, and that is what I would call nationalism. So before I begin with the video, first of all, I want to show you that I'm wearing my Asclepius necklace because we are in this coronavirus outbreak and or pandemic, and so I definitely want to wear my Asclepius necklace to for his protection during this time. So this is how it generally works. I am going to go and put so at the end of this video, I am going to tell you what the next video is going to basically be entitled. And then what's going to happen is during the course of it, I don't know how long my videos are going to be. Some videos are a little bit over an hour, and they generally have like 4 or 5 people that are talking. They're having this discussion that they go and they have their little they have their little conversations and all that wonderful stuff, and they have a lot of really interesting topics to talk about and all that type of stuff. So yeah, so those are generally the longer ones. Generally, it's like I was following one particular YouTube group called the what's it called? Heathen Talk Radio, and there was a lot of like talk about different heathen things, like like the about LGBTQ people and about sources and about all this type of stuff. And I really liked how they did did what they did, and it was something that I personally enjoyed hearing about and listening and everything. And a lot of it went over my head, but they did have some really great conversations, and I really do miss them. They have been off of YouTube for a little bit over a year now, but I really do miss their videos and the conversations that they were having. So, um, so uh, in this video, we're going to be talking about nationalism in Hellenism and why this is a problem that I really think needs to be addressed and needs to be talked about, because just, you know, we talk about nationalism, we talk about it in a very negative way, which is supposed to be a negative thing and is supposed to be something that we as Hellenists do not support, nor do we approve of. So, before I continue, I'd like to say, if you guys have any questions, you can post them over there. I really doubt I'm going to get any questions with my first stream, but I'm really hoping that I will, because those, those questions are, extremely, important. I'm gonna try to copy this, because I really would like people to come on and, um, you know, post questions. So, okay, here we go. So I'm gonna try this again, because, because I kind of want people to be able to post questions while I talk. So, one of the things that okay, so let me go back and say this. Okay, so let me go way, way, way back, because I think that going way back is imperative to this discussion, and it's just something that I think is important. So way, way, way back when I was in my 20s and I discovered Hellenism for the first time, there really wasn't talk at all about nationalism, or about you'd had to have Greek blood in you in order to venerate the Olympians, to venerate the nature spirits and the nymphs and all these beautiful, wonderful creatures that made up Greek religion, Greek mythology, all this type of stuff. It was all about reading books, and it was all about just reading them and understanding them. And we had a lot of really great dialogue and conversations and all this type of stuff. And there was no talk about nationalism, or like that this is, an ethnic religion means that you have to ethnically be connected to that religion or that sphere. The Ethnic Congress of Religions, I think that's what it's called. They did say it was an ethnic religion, but they also stated that there are times when people are drawn to these religions and they are not born in that country, or their ancestors didn't come from those lands. So it wasn't a statement of, oh, you have to be Greek in order to worship or venerate Zeus or Athena. It is an ethnic religion, but if you're not ethnically tied to Greece, as long as you're honoring them respectfully and everything, that's fine. So really, there wasn't this talk about about this or that or that or this. It was always about, reviving the religion and having these groups and all this wonderful stuff. And that's what I loved about Hellenism when I first got started. It wasn't one of those religions that you had to be ethnically, ancestors ethnically had to be from that place. So as time progressed on, I did not notice it. I'm pretty sure a lot of Hellenic pagans did not notice it at all as well. And then about 2 years ago, the Greek government, the Ministry of Education, or whatever you want to call it, I'm pretty sure I got it all wrong. They recognized paganism as a known religion. And this changed everything, in my own personal opinion. So you have these groups. Now, not all groups in Greece talk about, you have to be of a certain type of culture, or all this type of stuff. So those groups were kind of like, if you are living honorably, if you're venerating the gods respectively, if you're giving them what they are typically used to getting, minus the animal sacrifice, that they're okay with it. And that was really great to hear. But then Val Rossi passed away. And as far as I know of, he never at all preached about nationalism, about you had to be ethnically Greek in order to venerate. And so new people got into power, and they started to talk about that, because as an ethnic religion, you have to ethnically be connected to Greece. Your ancestors have to be from Greece. They really ignore this idea that the Hellenic religion, even though it is an ethnic religion, because it's tied ethnically to a place, that there are a lot of people that venerate and honor the Greek gods, and they have honor, and they have piety, and a lot of them who are non-Greek have been venerating and worshiping the Greek gods for an extremely long time, and suddenly they're being told that it does not matter. And it kind of makes me angry that this kind of bigotry and this kind of disregard for what historically the Greeks were, and how they viewed their religion, how they viewed people that were not from Greece. It's like they're trying to change how the ancient Greeks were to fit a more modern context, or a modern way of look at doing things. And it's just, it really agitates me that this is something that has popped up. But nationalism is a problem here in America. It definitely is a problem, I personally think, in other parts where this this nonsense is perpetrated. It grows, is planted. The seeds of nationalism are planted in the ground. It has fertile soil to grow. It gets watered. It gets fed, and it grows into this venomous snake. Sorry, a venomous snake that just consumes everything. So when mother passed away last month, I kind of was really sitting down and thinking about, my religious beliefs, and what did I believe in as a polytheist. And it's kind of weird to, first of all, do these videos, because this would have been something I would not have been able to do, a month ago, 2 months ago, because I would constantly have to get up, and I would constantly have to do things for my mother and all that. So it's really nice to be able to um, do these kinds of videos. But yeah, so back to it. We now have this infection that has entered into Hellenic polytheism via the people that are now head of either a group or groups. And I think that as time progresses on, um, you're going to have this fighting between groups that believe that Hellenism is for everyone and groups that believe that Hellenism is only for authentic Greeks. And so it's kind of like, I really think that the Greek government really needs to be paying attention to these groups that promote this nationalistic viewpoint and say, okay, look, just because we declared paganism a religion doesn't mean that we're going to allow what the people here in America that are heathens are doing. So it's something that needs to be taken care of. There needs to be some kind of some kind of penalty for having these views, because as far as I know, Greece does not have freedom of speech. I don't know, but as far as I know, they don't. So, why is this video so important? It's important for me to really state what I personally believe in and personally view as dangerous for modern Hellenism. So, we have a lot of talk that goes on in pagan or polytheistic circles about what we will not allow in our communities. We won't allow bigotry. We won't allow xenophobia. We won't allow homophobia, transphobia, biphobia, all these things. But if you go and look at, like, say, Yassi, for instance, you will see that they clearly state that they do not marry same-sex couples because it is not historical. And when you have groups like people who practice Wicca, for instance, and I do absolutely adore the religion of Wicca, because it doesn't have that baggage, that problems. Now they have their own problems. They have child molesters and rapists and people that use secrecy to silence people that are part of the coven. They have those problems, and those problems are bad. They're problems that really need to be taken care of. And of course, we have the racists that are trying to come in and trying to destroy paganism or turn paganism into this, white supremacist religion when it isn't. And I have watched videos of Black Wiccans and Asian Wiccans and all this, and it just really amazes me about how they're able to be inclusive and allow all these different ethnicities into their camp, so to speak. So, when did Yassi's view on same-sex marriage occur? Well, I don't know. I don't know if this was something that was around when Val Rossi was in charge of Yassi, or this actually appeared after his death. But the changes that I have been hearing on a lot of people that are members of Facebook, they're saying, hey, look, we've been seeing this, we've been noticing this, and, and it's very, very heartbreaking to see my religion having homophobia and transphobia and biphobia and all these different types of phobias put into a religion that historically was very open. Anyone could burn incense to say Zeus or to Hera or to Aphrodite or to Athena. Same thing that I always notice a lot when we talk about like just say it like Comedicism. Comedicism, they have a lot of Afrocentric comedics, and this is another form of nationalism in my own personal book. It is a pollution. It is and this nasty thing that has come into polytheism and has infected the shit out of everything. It poisons everything. And it was interesting. I'm a member of a couple Roman groups because my father's family comes from Italy and he's full-blood Italian and all that type of stuff. And so historically, I would be permitted to venerate and worship Athena and Venus and all these deities because the empire brought like Zeus and Hera and Apollon and all these deities into it. So there was no such thing as nationalism. No such thing as, oh, you have to stick to your own kind. And it's really weird is, I'm not going to mention the group at all because I don't do that. This person of color wanted to set up a shrine to Aphrodite. And immediately this one guy said, stick with your own gods. And it was so heartbreaking to see this on a Facebook group that is supposed to be open. And it's like, it made me sick to my stomach. Here's a person of color who wants to worship the Greek gods. And there's kind of like this, it goes all the way back to this article that came out. Oh, by the way, you hear that little noise in the background? That's my brother. So it goes back to this article that came out about statues being painted and reflecting this multiculturalism. So you had Romans who were people of color. You had Romans that were tan, like Mediterranean tanned. You had Romans that were white. So you had all these different ethnicities within the Roman Empire. And they all worshipped, Roman gods or gods that were from their own country. And there was no problem with this. But you have these jackasses that get on there and say, oh, you're supposed to stick with your own gods. In other words, the gods are white because they're on white marble and all this other bullshit and, and all this stuff. And it's kind of like, it really fucking annoys me that I have to listen to this. I have to read this bullshit because that's what it is. It is fucking bullshit. The Greeks were Mediterranean. They had a very different skin tone than say people that lived in England or people that lived in Iceland or Norway. I mean, seriously, let's stop saying that saying this stuff. So it disgusted me, and thankfully there was people that got on there and said, hey, look, You can have a shrine to Aphrodite. She will accept offerings of incense and roses and perfume and all this wonderful stuff. And it was really nice to see that. It was like, yeah, we're gonna stop this. We're gonna nip this in the bud. But it really reiterates this idea that we have to police our own community, because if we don't police them, if we don't say to them, this is wrong, your views are wrong, and this is the evidence that proves your views are wrong, we're going to have the same bullshit that we see in the heathen community with, oh, you gotta be white, or you gotta be from Scandinavia, or blah, 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 to worship the gods of the Norse because Odin didn't fuck a black woman. How do you know? How do you know? Um, and it's just it really nationalism is a disease, and it's like packaged as this, oh, going back to the source and going back to your roots and reclaiming some glory bullshit nonsense that doesn't exist. And it is annoying to like no end, absolutely no end. And you know when I mentioned earlier, my mother passed away and everything, and I decided, I deleted like a whole bunch of my channels except for my gamer and my Barbie one. They will be there forever, always into eternity. um and of course, I decided that, I was going to have one religious channel, one channel for my religion. And I was kind of like, what, out of all of these paths that I have investigated and partook in, which one do I love the most? And don't get me wrong, I still love ancient Egypt and the Egyptian gods and stuff, but the Greek religion is more it's more refined, it's more sophisticated. I just love Athena. I write fan fiction of like Percy Jackson, crossing over with Harry Potter, and it's always these really wild adventures that like these characters go through. But it's kind of like there was one I had read in which it's not mine, so it's not mine. I don't take credit for it, but the guy hasn't updated his story in I think close to a year, and he's basically like, Voldemort goes and kidnaps, Hermione Granger and her mother, and Bellatrix uses the Cruciatus curse on Hermione and causes her mind to unravel, and as it's unraveling, the ground starts shaking, and this power that Hermione didn't know that she had inside of her, which is a heck lot more darker than anything, basically sends all of the Death Eaters that are in that room down into the depths of Tartarus. And Hades, because this is Hades' realm, Hades feels these new additions to Tartarus because he is the lord of the underworld. And so, he has to go to Morpheus to bring his daughter back to him. And it's interesting. It's like, Nico goes and visits her friends, and Harry and Ron go to the underworld, which is the hallmark of all great adventurers. You gotta go to the underworld in Greek mythology. And they go there to see their friend. And it's kind of like I'm reading this story, and it's a really great story where basically the hero goes down into the underworld to either to find something or to try to bring something back. And it's kind of like this. It's kind of like this. You can the kind of like the that section kind of is essentially Greek. You're not a hero unless you go down to the underworld, and it's kind of it's a way of introducing new stories and new heroes to this whole idea of being a part of the world of the Greek gods with the Greek monsters and in places like the Underworld and Olympus and all that. So it was a really great story, and I really wish he would update it. He went and rewrote it because somebody was plagiarizing the story. Thankfully, it wasn't me. um, but it's that essence there. So it's it's kind of like you're really thinking really long and hard about this, and you're like, you know, why is this even a thing? And veering away a little bit away from Hellenism for a little bit because it does coincide with it. Um, so where does nationalism come from? Uh, where does this idea of nationalism come from? In my own personal belief, and I'm going to actually go into, because this is a great thing about streaming from the laptop instead of doing a regular video, is I can actually look this up because I don't really know the origins of nationalism. Um, okay. All right. So on Wikipedia it says, nationalism is an ideology and movement that promotes the interests of a particular nation as in a group of people, especially with the aim of gaining and maintaining the nation's sovereignty over its homeland. Nationalism holds that each nation should govern itself, free from outside interference, and that a nation is a natural and ideal basis for I can't pronounce it. It's also based on national identity, nation's traditional culture. Uh, so, um, so it says here, ethnic nationalism defines the nation in terms of shared ethnicity, heritage, culture, while civic nationalism defines the nation in terms of shared citizenship, values, institution, and is linked to a constitutional patriotism. So we can really look at what you see with Yassi as ethnic nationalism. Basically, they're trying to bring back the gods, and they're trying to bring back the glory that is ancient Greece. And you hear that a lot in these little sound bites. We're talking about bringing back the glory of Greece. That we did all these things, and the Romans, of course, inherited it and took it from us, and that we are the ones that are going to do this. Um, if you go look at the type of hatred and reasoning behind it, we're talking about heathenism. You're talking clearly about, the reason that I converted from Christianity to heathenism is because Christianity allows all sorts of different types of people in, and it's not a pure religion, or it's not a white man's religion. And they totally miss that was how the church gained power, kept it, and grew by allowing all these different types of people in. The church did not have an ethnic nationalism or nationalism period. Their goal was to try to convert all of the nations of the world to Christianity. So it's classified by a lot of people that like to take the word universalist and twist it and turn it around and turn it into something it isn't, by saying that nationalism, um, that universalism is what Christianity practices, and the reason that Christianity is a universalist religion is because they try not to promote, though it can be different wherever you go, that that we're all Christians and there's no such thing as skin color or ethnicity or any of that type of stuff. you are Christian no matter if you're black, you're Hispanic, you're white, you're Asian, you're Germanic, whatever, you're all Christian, and therefore you're all welcomed. But the true definition um, of universalism is basically that it is a non-tribal philosophy or a non-tribal word. So if you go and you talk to people that are nationalist, not national, sorry, not nationalist, sorry. I've had a long day. If you look at people that are, say, for instance, they are universalist heathens, they will clarify that they are the heathens that believe that you can be any kind of skin color you want, or you're from any country you want and still practice the heathen religion. This is, I would like to say, I would like to call them like universalist Hellenists. And I know it's probably a new word. And what basically it is that it is a belief that no matter your skin color, you can in fact venerate and honor the Greek gods, which I think is better. So nationalism was definitely really pushed during World War II, or even before World War II, when Adolf Hitler became Chancellor of Germany, and he decided to take the myths and the symbols and the gods of the Norse and turn them into deities that represented the Germanic people. And so, you have a lot of things like there was stories about, like, priests being killed in the street, a lot of like anti-Christian sentiments because of how Adolf Hitler viewed things. So you have a figure like Adolf Hitler and his SS who promoted this nationalistic viewpoint. And when the heathens, prior to them going to Auschwitz and Birkenau, tried to knock sense into Hitler and to protest because they were worried that, that their mythologies and stories were going to be used to turn heathenism into something that it wasn't. Then, of course, they were sent to Birkenau and to Auschwitz, where they joined the Jewish people in the clouds and in the sky. They went up into the sky. And so with them being gone, there was nothing preventing Hitler from perverting the heathen religion. So you kind of think, well, Adolf Hitler committed suicide. Some people say he didn't. And so the idea of nationalism went away. No, it didn't. It actually was imported to these different countries. And when Asatru was re-recognized as a religion back in the 70s, one of the things that they did was they removed any kind of nationalistic tendencies from the religion because of Hitler. Also because to them, if you look at historical fact, you'll see that the Norse did in fact have relations with all sorts of different types of people. They even had sex with their own gender. So, the idea that the Norse were this nationalistic, white, macho man culture was wrong. So in today's day and age, in today's America, we see nationalism really coming out and really polluting, you can guess it, Christianity. It's polluting a lot of things that never was even had those tendencies. So the point of nationalism in neo-paganism, and I know a lot of people say, well, Hellenism is not a neo-pagan religion. It is a neo-pagan religion because there's no unbroken line of practice. So you have this neo-pagan religion called Hellenism. I think that it was formed in the 90s. I'm not exactly sure. I had heard like they had been waiting over 20 years. So yeah, it's going to probably be in the 90s. It might have been late 90s. If somebody could tell me, like when I post this on Hellenic pagans, that's going to be, when they get to that part, pretty sure they'll have something to say. But you have this practice that is reformed in the 90s, and it is originally, I don't know what originally the idea was, but they wanted to, as far as I know of, and that's the purpose of a group who practices a religion, is to bring those gods from the past into the present based on primary and secondary sources. And it is a religion of homework. And, on Timothy J. Alexander's group forum, we really did have a lot of really great discussions. We talked about votive offerings found underneath the foundation of temples. I posted a question about, like, my theory on why a lot of the temples were transformed into churches, especially the temple of Hephaestus, which is the most well-preserved temple, most intact temple in the Hellenic, in Greece today. And so we have this religion that gets started, and they're trying to get recognized by the Greek government. The Greek government keeps on over and over again denying them their right. Hold on one second. And so you have all these people that are joining, and you can bet your buttons that a lot of them had nationalistic tendencies, but they couldn't do anything because Val Rossi was alive, and he most likely had very strict rules, and everything. So, of course, you had the Greek Wiccans that came around, and I think one of them really was the one who released the doves. I don't know if it was at the Parthenon, or if somebody knows where she released the doves, I would really appreciate it. So when he dies, and I think they had to elect the leader. They probably elected a gentleman that had these nationalistic tendencies. And so basically, when you have a religion that is recognized by the Greek government as a known religion, and so therefore they can sit down, they can say, okay, these are our rules, and these are what we're going to do as a group, what we'll allow and what we won't allow, and everything. And then it's agreed upon that these are the rules. What should have happened when the rules were being drafted and they saw there was, you have to be a native Greek, or your ancestors have to be native Greek in order to venerate and worship the Greek gods. It should have sent freaking warning signals to a lot of these people that, hey, look, you see, is going into a direction that is not good. And it's not something that we want. We have worked so hard to be accepted as a known religion, and now you're throwing this stuff out. The bad part is, Yasi is a recognized group with the Ethnic Council of Religions. I think or Ethnic Congress of Religions. And so you got a nationalistic group that is part of it, and they actually have openly said, and somebody on Facebook said this, that they have actually said you have to be native Greek in order to worship the Greek gods. But if you look at any book that's written by any kind of neo-pagan author that talks about these different groups, they clearly state in it that you do not have to be native Greek or Roman or whatever to practice these religions. So people are going into these religions with the assumption that, hey, we're all on the same page, and then they're told, well, are you Greek? Or if you have Greek DNA, or your ancestors Greek? Well, no. Well, then I'm sorry, you can't practice the religion. And it is so devastating to see someone being told, in essence, you cannot practice this religion because it's an ethnic religion. This is not like a Wicca thing. And it kind of it kind of really annoys me when they use Wicca as an example of what we're not. Like, was it um I forgot what was said, but Christianity was put into it. I really wish people would do this. Um, One of the worst things that you could ever have is somebody that equates Wicca with Christianity, as far as like, oh, it's like a cover. It's like, oh, it's being used by Christians, and all this type of stuff, when it isn't. Gerald Gardner was not a Christian; he was a Wiccan, because he founded the religion of Wicca. He was a witch. He was not a Christian. Um, of course, Val Rossi, he had his own opinion about Wicca. Like, we're not, yes, we acknowledge that Wicca is around, but we're not interested in, connecting with them or whatever. But I don't know. Oh, I'm so tired right now. Um, but it's kind of like, it's really annoying. So last year was a declaration. It was the Xena Declaration, and oh man alive, Yassi had something to say about it, and it was not good. And basically, their viewpoint, and I'm going to put this in a nutshell because I don't remember word for word what Yassi said. And of course, there is a guy in Greece who has a channel called Hellenismos TV. And he basically targeted and attacked the Xena Declaration, and he used a lot of like really defamatory words. In a nutshell, he was attacking the people that created the document, saying basically that they were not real Hellenists, that they were like, basically that they were working. This is a nutshell. This is in a nutshell, okay? That basically um, they're working to overthrow Hellenic religion. Um, hold on, I'm gonna do this because I can't remember it. Um, okay. Um, so let's see here. I'm just because I want to try to find it. Um, okay. So let's see here. I can't find it. I really hate it when I can't find it. Um, Um, try to find it because oh man, that's in my eye. It's just like that's annoying me to death. Um, I can't find it. Apparently, it was taken down. Um, okay, so apparently it was taken down. So yeah, so this guy, he has this blog and everything, and he was talking about basically, in a nutshell, because I can't find the dang blasted thing, that this basically that he was attacking the people that did it. There's a lot of groups. Like there's a group in Bucharest that signed it, supported it. There's even a present article from like back in January. Oh man, I really hate when my eyes like start burning and everything. It's annoying. So yeah, so it was it was a all these people are signed this. Helion did not sign it, so I'm kind of wondering what their view about it is. And basically, the Xena Declaration was basically that people of color are welcome, not non-binary, non-gender conforming people are welcome, asexual people are welcome. All these different types of people are welcomed to practice um, Hellenism. And it was in direct result to groups like Yasi that came out and said basically that, first of all, they don't marry same-sex couples, and you have to be an ethnic Greek, or your ancestry has to be ethnically Greek in order to venerate and worship the Greek gods. All right, so we're getting close to 55 minutes, but I still have a lot. I still have a couple more things I want to talk about. So, all right. So, how do we how do we how do we stand up to nationalism? I think that's an important question to ask. If you guys want to know what I'm drinking key lime water. Yes, it's really great. So how do we battle nationalism? How do we keep Hellenism an open, welcoming thing, which I think is important to talk about? Well, signing the Xena Declaration is a statement that you're making to other Hellenists. This is my viewpoint. This is what I believe in. This is how I view things. I view Hellenism as being this inclusive religion. I view it as the way the Greeks did. I view Hellenism as a religion that everybody can partake in. And one of the things I made a vow when this wasn't a vow to the gods. This was more a vow to myself. When I decided, I love Hellenism. I love the gods. I really adore the Greek gods so much. And I think it's such a shame that this kind of nonsense is being done, to try to keep a religion pure. And why I have this channel. I want, after about a month of being an independent pagan or independent polytheist, however you want to look at it, I really sat down and said, okay, what are my beliefs? What do I believe in? And what path aligns itself with what I believe in? And that was Hellenism. I do still love Wicca. Don't get me wrong, I always will. I love the fact is they don't have conversations like this. Um, so I go and I um, look at this, and I say, okay, so how can we combat this? Well, as I said, we can make a statement, just like signing the Xena Declaration was a statement. It was a statement that Yassi didn't like. It was a statement that the asshole with Hellenism TV didn't like. And it was basically a statement of we as American Hellenists, we as pagans, as polytheists, as heathens, no matter what form of reconstruction you're practicing, we are not going to stand by and let you turn Hellenism into a nationalistic religion. We will fight against this with everything that we have. So when we form groups, we form temples or organizations, we have to make sure that there is an inclusive policy. We make sure that we, hey, look, if they're using certain types of pronouns, we use those pronouns because we want them to feel like they're welcomed. This is hospitality. This is, we are welcoming them into our temple as equals. We fight against xenophobia and all these different types of hatred, especially now with the coronavirus. You're seeing a lot of uptick on with people that are attacking Chinese or people look Asian because of the coronavirus. So we have to not just say that our religion is welcoming and that those groups over in Greece, despite all the hard work they've done, if you're a group in Greece that supports it only being for native Greeks or for people that have Greek ancestry, we want nothing to do with you. If you're an organization in Greece that supports inclusiveness, supports the right to people that are not Greek to worship the Greek gods, then you're very much welcome in our group. So, but these things take a lot of time and a lot of, punching back and, demanding that these people get it through their thick skull. This is the 21st century, and inclusiveness is the future because of how shitty we have treated other human beings. So I'm going to end this by saying that it's going to be a very long, hard road before we get to that point where we are inclusive. We strive to understand the world around us and to understand where the gods fit in that frame. All right, so we're nearing the 1 hour point, which is a very long time I've been talking. I thought my water was going to go out on me, but yeah. So I am off on Thursday, and I did do a pre-recorded video that I already uploaded, but that was actually going to be for, I think, Friday. I think that's going to happen. But what I've decided to do is I've decided to do a video that is connected with, it's called the Martyrdom of Pylea. I always mispronounce her name. So we're going to go into, we're going to talk about all these different things that led to her death and why her death was such a traumatic blow to what was left of the classical world. I don't know how long the video is going to be, but I definitely appreciate everybody that comes on here and watches this video. I think that this was a really interesting topic to talk about. And, you know, being able to do like whatever number, like an hour or whatever video, allows me to really kind of like spread it and kind of like put my 2 cents into it. So thank you everybody for watching. This video will be available probably in about 10-15 minutes. I am going to put a notification for Thursday's video, and I really hope that you'll stick around for that one. So until next time, may you be blessed, and thank you so much for watching. Bye.